Welcome back to Threshold of Revelation. This is session number 9, titled Open Road. Last session, the group entered into the secret lair with conglomerate doors and um, lift mechanisms and other strangeties. After murdering a number of darklings and then dark mantles and then some uh, other strangenesses, they have decided that they cannot progress further into the lair proper and have exited out once again. Now that they've
As a heads up, the map on stream is showing a bunch of symbols that we don't see on the map.
cool.
Oh, skulls and crossbones.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully
So those are
nobody.
good places to go. I'm gonna guess screen capture, screen capture.
Hopefully nobody goes back and looks at that or anything as I show my whole ass. I think I showed a picture of that before, anyways. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the GM layer. Um, Anywho, that said, the group is now outside of the secret lair cave. It's relatively later in the day. They could probably go one or two hexes without, well, probably one hex with the lateness of the day that it is, without issue. So if they want to go somewhere nearby to kind of find a place to rest, they could. Um, Actually, that's not true. You would have one, two. You took a long rest at the monastery. 3, didn't spend that much time down there. Only a short rest and a couple of murders. It's probably about the afternoon time. You could go 2 hexes safely without issue. That being said, putting to the knowledge that you have, you could go back to the monastery and see if that guy's still there. Continue that conversation. You could go try and fight a Manticore King at Whitestone that was mentioned. You could continue on your journey to the Hunter's Manor to try and warn them of something they apparently already know about, according to the man you met at the monastery. You could try and make your way to Boar Hill. You could go back to Hound Hill. Um, you could just go off in your own direction at random, wherever you'd like to go. Not using any of the information gleaned from me showing what was on the map as any connotation as to where you should go or anything. But yeah, the floor is the table is yours. Like anywhere you want to go, um, certainly you can go. Where would you like to go?
Well, fellas, we got to get across or get to Bridger. So,
Are we looking to get back on task now?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
for the
we were assigned.
moment,
Yeah, how long has it been since we were asked to do that task, and how off track are we?
I think you've been out of the world for 5-6 days.
yeah. And they weren't really like, "Oh, you need to do this immediately." They were like, "Hey,
8
if you get to
days.
Bridger, you can destroy it. If you're not in, if you don't want to do that, you can go farther out to somewhere to Ionius and kill that guy. Or if you can find the leader, you can just kill him.
You've been out in the world
Yeah,
for
but
8
they
days.
they are at war currently. I mean, they may not be pressing us for time, but they're a little pressed for time.
I remember correctly, they got a pretty good hold though at Pimford. That's why they were like, "Yeah, like we're safe here.
Their
If you can
supply is
get it, we can
limited.
get it."
They have no supply lines.
Do we have a way to get down the mountain? Because we want to get down the mountain.
No, there's no down the mountain. You're already down
We
the
are
mountain.
down.
But like down on the other side, so that we can get a go.
We would have to go back
across.
up to do that. I think at this point, our best shot is right between Boar Hill and Hunter's Manor.
Oh, like
Just
so
kind of
essentially
beeline
go
it straight
along
around.
along the beach and then up the river.
Maybe not the beach so much as that part in between the beach and the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the lowlands or
Look
something.
at a little ridge there or something we're kind of on.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be best.
Okay, so skim, and then just go up the river across the plains.
Yeah, or even cross the river there at the thin point if we can, maybe. Hop onto that little island.
Okay. Yeah, if that is your wish, absolutely. Just if you're moving, you're currently moving at a normal pace. So as we discussed, it's slightly upgraded from what we were doing before. It's going to be a total of for today, at most 2 hexes, due to it being kind of midday times. So if you're going the way I assume you're going, is this kind of close to what you're thinking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. The hex right between those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy enough one to kind of deal with.
I'm not seeing the map on the title screen.
What?
Thank you. Maybe because of my status last game and somebody else took control of the token. I just don't know.
What about now?
Here we go.
How
Yep.
about now? Still good?
Yeah.
Okay. That was weird. Okay. So, go ahead and for this first hex, someone roll me a d20.
I got it.
Woo.
7.
Okay. And
That's
then
good.
for the second hex, go ahead and roll me a d20.
Chody?
Got. You want to do it, Chody?
I can do it again.
Okay.
7.
Oh, lucky
Attaboy.
sevens.
Okay, so during the first portion of the journey, you're kind of maintaining a position where the very open expanse of effectively low coastal area is prominent, but you're kind of closer to where the land kind of rises up and forms the hills that are at the base of those mountain ranges you were on kind of in the earlier portion of your journey. It's uneventful, but if you have survival or nature trained, feel free to go ahead and roll either. Anyone can do so, and depending on what you choose will depend on what you kind of glean knowledge-wise.
So I have that talent thingy. Could I do it?
Yeah, jack of all trades is fine.
Jack of all trades.
You don't have to be trained in either. I'm just saying you can make a nature or survival roll. Either way is fine.
Got it. Oof.
You guys are rolling
You
great
don't
tonight.
need to be
No
proficient.
training's required.
Get those bad rolls out first, folks. Woof.
So, Rolling Rock's the only one who kind of notices. The area is very heavily trafficked. A lot of footfall, a lot of foot patterns on the kind of paths and trails that you're finding, and it's, I mean, you're no tracker, but when you kind of point it out to Uther, he would be able to tell that this is not like dated. This isn't a ancient kind of movement. This is definitely recent within the 6th day. So it seems that there is a grouping of people that are in and about this area, but you don't see any signs of them as you're making your way through. What you do notice is unlike the mountain range road, this road is very much just your very normal kind of natural place. There are birds, there are animals, there are kind of, low-lying kind of creatures therein. Rabbits starting off into the brush as you kind of come upon them. But it's also not like very vibrant as far as vegetation goes. It is very rocky, with bushes and brambles here and there. It's very kind of salt coast. But yeah, as the night kind of comes to take hold, you notice that you, in your end position here, are at a point where it looks like the road kind of narrows out on the way westerly, and seems that the road kind of focuses on a pathway south. And off in the distance, you can see a grouping of stone structures, not as tall as the hill, but it looks like they are kind of just stone structures that are kind of standing on their own. Like wind has swept through them enough to kind of rip apart a lot of the interior structure of these stone hills to form these kind of strange pillars off in the distance. And one looks like it might have something on top of it. From this far away, you can't be, and also with it being late, you can't be too sure. I'm assuming you want to set up camp at this point.
Yeah, man.
Survival roll.
Anybody else trained in it?
I am, but
No.
And I could do
have
the.
not been doing well.
Silence
I-
helps.
I have a +4.
I got the 5. I just need the assist, just in
Okay.
case, for the advantage. Right?
Mhm.
There we go. 19.
Nice.
You find a nice little spot set inside of like a kind of brushed out stone structure. It's already has a fire pit present in it, and looks like it's a pretty safe, defensible location with a interesting kind of out. If something were to kind of push you into a corner, so to speak, it looks like there's a kind of small, narrow hole that leads out the back of the space. That if someone were to try to go in, they would kind of flop out and be kind of put in a position where they'd be very quickly noticed and taken care of. Whereas getting out is it's a bit of a climb, but it's quick enough.
Any benefit to Nyx casting Lehman's Tiny Hut?
If you want to cast Liam's Tiny Hut, you can.
I was asking the group, and I would get that spell back after the rest
Always.
anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's use that new spell then, which would be pretty awesome.
We're all comfortable.
And to help as well, Tiny Hut is actually a ritual. You don't need to waste a spell slot.
Oh, beautiful. Let's
Just
do
takes
that.
you 11 minutes to cast instead of 1.
Got it.
Give Silas time to set up the crock pot.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So the hut will appear kind of over the campfire, kind of set inside of this domed rock structure. It protrudes out a little bit from the like the cave that you're in, but not like terribly much. Someone would have to be like staring dead on into the cave to be able to see like the hut's presence. But it's a kind of crystalline bubble, which at casting, Nyx, you can decide whether or not it's transparent or not.
Ah, I see. No, we don't want it see through, right?
And that'd be for both directions. So
Yeah, I think we want it so that it provides us some privacy. Also, just for flavor's sake, the shape of the hut is
a dome.
only Nyx would know this but it's sort of in the rough shape of the kind of caves that his people lived in. Little
They bubble
bug
out
people, yeah.
bubble out the interiors. It's kind of cool. Yeah, absolutely. And so it would be unlit and kind of. Oh, it is transparent from the inside always. What's the color? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. We're resting at night?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's make it like a dark blue color, like a deep dark blue.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, but it's always transparent from the inside, apparently. I did not know that. Very cool, very cool. Awesome. So Nyx cannot leave the bubble as long as the bubble is up. If Nyx leaves the bubble dissipates. So that said, how would you like to cover your watch schedule? I believe we agreed upon a 3-watch cycle for this group, but who wants to go first, second, and third?
I'll
We
go
can-
take
I'll
first.
say we can probably do single person watches since we're in the hut. It's saving us pretty well. Just sit at the edge of it and look out.
Quick notation on a conglomerate primer. A lot of adventurers, upon learning the Tiny Hut spell, think that they have a absolutely steadfast defense against anything that would oppose them. However, a good conglomerate spellcaster knows any spellcaster with their salt can cast Dispel Magic and get rid of it. So just a heads up. It probably will stop creatures from attacking you, but if someone like a ranger or a druid or a cleric or a wizard or an artifact, everyone gets the damn spell. It's a very common spell type.
Would Nyx know if it's dispelled?
Oh yeah, I mean, it would definitely, disappear around you for sure. You wouldn't be awakened from your sleep.
Okay, that's actually what I wanted to know. Cool, thanks.
Yeah, there's no magical ping or anything because you're not concentrating on it. Cool. First watch.
Why does it dispel if he leaves it? I don't see that anywhere.
The spell ends if you
Actually-
leave its area. It's like the second sentence.
Oh. Okay.
It's just
It's
like
area. Okay.
It's just like
No, I was reading
yesterday.
like the whole 9 creatures thing. I'm like, where is that?
It's just like yesterday. Read the whole card.
Yeah, that
Damn.
happens.
It's okay. I understand.
Magic players, man.
No, yeah, I get it. I fully get it.
They hit it. They hit it at the beginning. That
yeah,
part
they
no
hit
one
it at the
pays
beginning.
attention
Nobody
to.
pays attention. That's usually just flavor text. Or
So still, the cave only had like one entrance, right?
yeah. So, well, it has a second entrance, but it's not really an entrance. It would be like they would literally have to fall on their ass to get through. Whereas it's an exit. If you were to leave out that small little narrow hole, it would be easy enough to do.
Okay, so we could speed up the watch cycle if it was only one each, right?
Yeah. So it sounded like Silas was doing one.
Yep, I'm gonna cook part of the bear that I took and then take the first watch.
Okay, cool. And then second watch.
I'll take second.
Cool. And third.
I got it.
Cool. Bodhi sleeps like a baby. Nyx probably does likewise. And the rest of you kind of do your bits. On your watches, go ahead and roll a 20-sided dice for me. Mm-hmm. Chody, you need to stop rolling sevens, but
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that's my third 7.
Take that to Vegas.
And Ezekiel. Okay, cool. So, during the course of the evening, it's quiet. Silas, you are cooking your bear, keeping an eye out, stopping every so often, coming back in. Everything seems to be going great. And the warmth of the bubble and also the warmth of the fire that you're cooking with, very, very nice in this kind of like early autumn kind of time. Nothing happens with you. Uther, as you kind of take your watch, probably kind of go out and about, stealthing around in the shadows to get a better vantage point around the back side of the cave, outside, etc. And as you're kind of doing this, you do notice, strangely, up on the rocky ridge to the north of you, kind of about where, if you had to pull out a map and check, where the strange shrine would probably have been located, kind of south of Beminoth, you do see lights kind of moving across the mountain road, high up in the mountains. Getting up there would be very difficult, not for you, so to say, but mainly for you to drag a whole ass adventuring party up like a sheer cliff.
Is that the shrine thing we kind of saw in the dusk?
That was the shrine that was mentioned by the cool bandit guy that you spared. He said that there was like druids from the strange shrine that attacked them and they were fighting with before a dragon appeared.
Okay.
But there's lights up there on the mountain road. It almost looks like a procession of individuals with torches or lanterns. You're not sure. And then that's it. That's the only thing that really kind of happens during your watch. And then last but not least, for Ezekiel, as you're kind of taking your watch, paying attention, you hear something on the wind, like when you step out of the bubble to kind of check around. It almost sounds like a voice. And as you kind of look out in that way, you do see like a good 500 feet or so, a lantern kind of moving through the space. It looks like it's heading southwards towards those strange pillars. And once you kind of get a cool, like, deadlocked vantage where the light is able to kind of bounce off a back wall and give you kind of a silhouette, looks like there's about 5 or so individuals. One appears to have a massive greatsword just by the cross guard silhouette on his back. And they look like they're heading south towards those strange pillars that were kind of off to the coast. And map-wise, that would be about where the Hunter's Manor is. So, who knows who they were or what they were, unless you want to pursue them.
All good.
Good. All right,
All
cool.
good.
In the morning, the fire's been maintained decently enough. The hut will dissipate, and you prepare your stuff in the morning, presumably. Anything that you want to do in the onset of the morning, planning-wise, discussion-wise, roleplay-wise?
I'll mention the lights up by the strange shrine.
I'm
If
just
it-
people running to the Hunter's Manor.
The Hunter's Manor could have been a hunting party just out for a night hunt, to be totally honest.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Were they like looking at our way, or they were just passing by?
They were just kind of running. That's all I could really see. You know, it was 500 feet away, so it's kind of hard to see.
table's yours. Just tell me what you're doing with your morning. If there's anything you want to try here.
Where'd those druids are take? Should we murder them?
It would be a mountain climb to be sure. I just want to make sure that's known.
So we just keep following our path. Since
Sounds
there's nothing
good.
really standing out to us right now.
Leave it to the locals.
But they've lived here longer than we have, so I'm sure they got this.
Is this one supposed to be on the map?
Which one? Yeah. That's where they
Okay.
said that the dwarves were. That's where the brothers, the Endovan brothers, told you the dwarf city was, which you've later learned
Okay.
to know is called Ancrag. I'll go ahead and get that name up there for you.
And how many hexes do we have a day?
How many what?
Hexes per day?
Oh, so if you're traveling on ground that you're not difficulted in, which you are right now, it is a total of 4. 28 miles per day.
What's making it difficult for us?
Nothing's making it difficult for you.
Oh,
So I
okay.
said
I
28.
thought you said this one was.
No,
Okay.
since it isn't, yeah, it's 28.
Got it.
If it was difficult, it'd be 2 hexes a day, which
Got it.
before it was 2 hexes a day because my math was bad.
Yeah, that's fine. To be expected.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like if you're gonna
So
you're gonna get 2 things from me: great storytelling, bad mathematics.
you're gonna go through or around Ancrag.
Anchorag's very like pretty heavily fortified, right? We learned like can't. This is
It is a fortified city, from what you were told. It's a dwarvish city.
yeah. Let's just if our goal is to get to Bridger, let's just keep skimming. Looks like the bad is up on the mountain.
We
Okay.
we don't need to stop for supplies. There, I'm just asking because I mean, if we're going through the mountains and stuff, and especially if a long trek after, that's the last city before we go into the unknown, kind of.
We can hunt for most of our foods, and rations.
Okay, I'm down. Let's go.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and just show me directionally how you
Yeah,
want to
I don't know how to do the line thingy. I was trying.
No worries. Is it going to be southwest and then northwest? Yeah, got it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
I'd say back up one. Away from the coast.
So ending here,
Down
right?
down to the left of Ancrag.
Oh, sorry. Ending here. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. So then I need a D20 roll, and then we can parse out the next bits. All right. And D20 roll.
12.
Okay. So as you make your way to the coast, in that first kind of beat, you do see well off in the distance a number of ships. I would say that they're on the horizon and are barely visible, but because it's a bright, sunshiny day, they kind of stand out against the gleam of the blue sky and the blue ocean. They are kind of southerly, like, but slightly off west. So, like when you're standing in this position, they're kind of out this way. You can kind of see these markers on the map itself as to where they're about. Again, you can't see that far out, obviously, so they're just in that direction, is what I'm saying. Any questions or concerns regarding the boats off in the distance?
Can we see any flags or markings?
You can make a perception check to try and make out any notational markers.
Could we all do that check? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
21.
Very nice.
So they're saying like, let's take a look at these things, and you're, not terribly concerned with the water, probably, I assume.
Nah,
Mountain man.
it's not made of rocks.
But everyone's trying to look down the line, and you very much have like a dead-eyed focus when you've got the bow out. So you kind of snap it out and kind of like gaze down the line at it, kind of snap zooming to see what you can see. And there are 3 ships that are actually visible. 2 of them look like they blur together because they're close to one another. And so that distance, it's kind of like they're fusing as one. And from what you can tell, two ships, one that's not close to the other ship and the other, appear to be flying the same marker. It appears to be a black flag with a pair of crossed white markers, which you don't know for certain what those are from this distance. And then the other one appears to be flying the flag of Penford, specifically flying the flag of the Lady of Penford, the Duchess. And you can also
my understanding that the two are flanking it and attacking it.
it
Is
looks
that what
like
it seems
one.
like?
It looks like one has committed to boarding already, based on their proximity. Again, you not being nautical as a character probably wouldn't understand what that means, but if you explain what you're seeing to everyone else, the group consensus would be two pirate ships are attacking a Penford ship.
That's a day's worth of swimming, and I can't swim.
I'll put this mariner's armor to use.
See ya.
Roll like rock, more like
Floating rock.
I was trying to think of what it
Or
would
like
be.
skipping rock.
Skipping rock. That is good. Gain inspiration, Brent. That's great. Toss me.
Andy's having flashbacks.
Yep. Grok.
Grok. The shell. That'd work. Throw the shell, flip it upside down, someone up on top, row. Rolling rock pushing behind. We love it.
Motorboat that turtle.
Hell yeah, motorboat that turtle. Ancrag is actually will be visible from the next point. I will discuss that in a minute. But first, again, nothing else question wise regarding the pirate ships, right?
Oh no, they're dead. Yeah.
100%. Okay, you move on. When you kind of get into this next position, you're kind of coming in closer towards the mountain ranges again. And the mountain ranges at the base here, up near Boar Hill, up near Hound Hill, all around. As we discussed, the mountains are kind of sheer on this side. And that's not untrue here. However, the thing that's kind of like strange is that the hills that are kind of like around the base of the mountains and the cliffs are all basically melted. It looks like they're kind of turned into volcanic slag to the point where they've become like spears rising up out of the ground. And lava flows will typically cause this kind of thing. Rolling Rock would know. And sometimes, like, as they kind of build up over time, the smaller portions will have stronger foundations, and then once they kind of cool to a point, they kind of create these lava tubes or spires kind of out of the ground. And it looks like this is very prominent around Ancrag's base, or where Ancrag you presume would be based on your mapping would be. This is at the base of the mountain there. Any questions regarding the lava tubes?
So does it sound like they built the city into like almost like into where there's like lava, but then they like vented out the lava?
You can make a history check with your proficiency doubled. If you're not proficient in history normally, you are proficient for this roll and it's doubled.
So I guess it'd be a 13. No wait, or a 14.
Cool. That's enough. So what you would know is this means that the cliff facing doesn't look like it's too terribly marred by any kind of venting or anything, but your presumption is that inside of the mountain there is a connection to like the molten core of, the underneath. There's like a, lava vent that's causing this liquid magma to kind of rush out onto the ground and become lava and then turn into these tubes. So it's your presumption that Ancrag is probably built over some form of egress for molten rock to come up from the earth. And this isn't uncommon for dwarves. They typically will find these hot spots in the earth and then use that kind of heat to help with a lot of their craft.
Yeah, and we know Ancrag is a deep dwarf settlement.
So Ancrag is presumed to be a deep dwarf settlement. That's correct. Oh,
Is that slang for Dwargo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure like Dwergar is just deep dwarf in Dwarvish. It's the actual.
Correct.
Neat.
Oh, I didn't know you spoke Dwarvish. Plus respect.
Keep talking.
Just deep, but it's close enough.
Speak dwarvish,
Giant?
but I speak
Minotaur?
giant. I speak giant too.
I speak everything adjacent to dwarven.
Okay, perfect.
It's led to a lot of miscommunications. Let me tell you.
A lot of people just end up insulting.
Just to really do a quick synopsis, Zach, to get you caught up and to point. They left the cave, they moved on the coast, they saw pirates destroying a Penford boat, and then just now they found the base of where Ancrag is, or where they expect it to be. The cliff facing has a bunch of strange lava stone fixtures that Rolling Rock is basically elucidating about, and presumes that there's some sort of molten lava-y kind of connection to Ancrag the city.
Neat. So I wasn't missed at all. That's great.
No,
We've just been walking.
in fact, they didn't
Outstanding.
even know if you had a body or not.
I'm around.
Only Andy didn't know.
I'm creeping.
For this next bit, which you're moving to, I don't want a 20-sided dice roll. Instead, I would like for you to roll a perception check. Every single one of you.
That's our specialty. Oh shit.
Rolling Rock.
I see with my dwarf eyes. With the
Everything
earth.
dwarf.
Did anyone get over a 20?
Yeah.
Did
Rolling
anyone?
Rock got a 29.
Okay, that answers my question. I was going to ask, did anybody get over a 25? Because two different things could have kind of come up with that.
But the rest of us were thinking of other shit.
100%. So,
Pirates.
Ooh.
Rolling Rock, what you notice is as you're kind of coming up this way, like the road splinters off in two different paths. It kind of moves closer to the Ancraggy kind of like mess, and it also kind of goes up to a path that kind of winds along the coastal cliffs. And again, whichever of those methods or whichever of those paths you'd like to take, that's fine. It's all still within the same kind of hexagonal kind of positioning. But with your check, what you notice is there's actually a third path. The cliff path goes up, but a very subtle path next to that winds down off the side of the cliff, going along the cliff face. So if you were a traveler and you weren't stonily aware, you would miss this path. It's that narrow a spot. And then you also notice a last thing, because you rolled so damn high. There's a marker. It is a very strange dwarvish notation marking a sign for pilgrims, specifically pilgrims of the faith of the Beldendar and Dwerisin worship. So it is a kind of holy marker for pilgrims who are traveling in this area to kind of follow. And I will put down the shrine marker, and I will move you into that space.
Well, lads, if we do want to go into Ancrag, seems I can get us some sort of welcome. Rono kind of fiddles into his bag. He kind of looks for his holy symbol and kind of blows the dust off it. He's, I haven't had to show this in a long time, but could get
I
us in
cover
the
my
city.
eyes.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Could get us in the city
Bodhi faints.
with no problem. The Deepkin are not as warm as you might as the hill folk. But
All that
I
lava
can
and
get
they're
us
not
in.
warm.
No, their forges are much warmer than their hearts.
I get it.
More
Makes
than fair.
sense.
So as you kind of decide, I'm assuming you're going to be taking the shrine path. Is that right?
If we do want to go into Ancrag, because I think Silas said he was thinking about he wanted to restock.
I was asking if we needed to, if we should. Again,
Not a bad idea.
it was kind of more of an out of character thing. As a barbarian, I wouldn't care. I can cook things and things. It was more of an out of character thing. I
You still got
shouldn't
plenty
have
of bear.
said it.
Still got-
Right.
Okay, so if you do take the small path, well, since you are taking the small path, I'll just quantify it as yes, it's happening. The path is cleft out of these white, chalky cliff facings, and it is very, compared to paths you've been on, narrow, probably only about 8 feet wide. But what you notice is that the cliff is mostly chalk, but the portion that you're walking on appears to be stone. And Rolling Rock, you've seen the artisanal craft of stone shaping. In fact, you are a practitioner. It looks like whoever did this forced the stone out of the cliff facade, this chalky facade, and brought the rock out to create a path to be walked upon, which is impressive, especially since it seems to go for some time. It winds around the exterior of the cliff, and it comes to a point where, for Uther especially, you see an amazingly strategic ambush point. And before you decide to continue on, you also see victims of an ambush. You see a total of 5 Duergar that appear to be lanced entirely with massive crossbow bolts laying on the stone. And one of them looks like he's kind of on the edge of the cliff, just barely kind of like on there. His wispy white hair like moving with the wind of the ocean. It looks like he has a cloak on that's kind of wisping as well. The cloak is bright, vibrant red with a kind of goldish looking dragon sign on the back of it.
I point that out to everybody else and say we should proceed with caution and see if there's no way I can get around the ambush point to ambush the ambushers.
Unfortunately, there's one path and there's one direction, and there's really no way kind of past that other than climbing up the cliff and kind of making your way kind of to the top, back up to the actual cliff road, going a distance and then descending back down the cliff.
Yeah, I'm not into all that.
Okay.
So with the dragon symbol on his cloak, would we recognize that as like some sort of like religious symbol or like some sort of sigil to something?
For
Or is it
you,
just-
it is a completely new symbol that you've never seen before. But based on what you've been told about Ancrag having a dragon, and these being deep dwarves, your presumption is that these must be deep dwarves from Ancrag.
oh, and they were ambushed trying to get back into the city? That's
Well,
pretty bad.
again, you don't know for certain. I just want to make sure you're clear on this. The shrine may not be an entry point for the city. Might be something separate entirely.
Just bait to lure people in.
Could be. Do you wish to advance towards the corpses and check out the nature of their death, or do you want to stay back away from the obvious choke point?
Fellas?
Yeah, like I'm pretty good at medicine.
I'm
Like I
fine
could
with
probably
traps.
like take a
Yeah.
look.
Okay.
So what, these bodies?
This is a pilgrim's road to like a dwarven shrine for our god. Like I don't know. Like I'm a cleric. I have a respect for the dwarven pantheon. It's not like my main jam, but
Okay.
it still kind
You-
of scratches me the wrong way.
You are advancing over to check out the corpses then.
Yeah, knowing that it's an ambush point, I'd probably do it like pretty
Cautiously.
carefully. Like
Cover you.
Uther's covering.
I'm with
Uther. Okay, awesome. Uther, go ahead and make a perception check.
25.
That
Jet-
ain't bad.
Just as Rolling Rock is gaining on the deep dwarfs, the obvious choke point that I was mentioning, I'll describe it a little bit more in detail. The path continues on, and then kind of where they're all kind of dead, maybe about 20 feet beyond that, there's a kind of cleft in the cliff that looks like it's kind of an overwatch point, like looking out over the road a little bit. Maybe about 10-foot little balcony up there. And as you're watching and Rolling Rock is advancing, you see a dwarf pop up, and it looks like there's a massive shield in front of the dwarf. He's kind of looking down. You then see a second dwarf pop over the first dwarf just enough to reach out a huge crossbow, and then he stops. And then Rolling Rock, you hear in Dwarvish, perfect Dwarvish, "Who are you, and where are you coming from?"
So I bow and respond in Dwarvish and like holding up my like holy symbol, be like, just be well met, kin. I'm coming from Penford to pay my respects to the Pantheon. I saw the Pilgrim's Way and was making my way, and then saw our dead kin here, and thought I should take a look. I'm something of a healer.
The dwarf kind of slaps the other dwarf on the back, says something in Dwarvish that's lost on the wind. He then watches the shield kind of moves into view, and the shield is a massive golden face of Angum, the son of Beldendar, who is basically the son who dealt with craftsmanship. The dwarf behind kind of reaches out to the side, and you can see the crossbow he has is this amazing looking arbalist of a thing, with kind of all the bells and whistles. There's a scope on it. You are very much in a point where it's like this guy could probably do what he did to the deep dwarves without issue. But he kind of looks out at you and he says, "And your friends?"
They are my traveling companions. They are to be trusted. I've defended me thus far, and
You see them kind of
I do trust them.
You see them kind of-
They have the blessing of what's her face? Wasn't there like one like female dwarf in the Pantheon who was like the more, or was it the three men, like
Thrall.
three sons?
Thralk is the daughter of the Pantheon. She's the goddess of merriment and but she's not technically a goddess anymore. She's a power of merriment, drinking, revelry, fun times.
Yeah, I wanted yes. Thralf watches over these ones, especially my little friend here. You should hear him on his lute. Oh, the stories he can tell you.
You see them kind of
He hums a bit.
You see them kind of cross like conversations for a second. Again, lost on the winds just due to the nature of where you're at.
Is this whole conversation in Dwarvish?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. I am drawn on him this whole time.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And again, with that 25 perception, you'll notice when they moved up and he's kind of talking to Rolling Rock, you do see another guy, and there's just like a very narrow glint of light off the glass of his scope, and he appears to be trained on everyone in the back line. So probably not going to get a great shot from that guy, because again, the way the path kind of winds, you kind of have the benefit of cover, but again, there are
Without
more...
adjusting my gaze, I would just mention that one to Silas quietly.
Okay. He
Silas,
says,
2 o'clock.
He says, in response,
Hours
Are you-
from now.
"Are you from Penford?"
I've been to Penford, yes,
No,
but
li-
I do not hail from there originally.
no lies.
No lies. I passed through the city, but I was born far from here.
What about you, small one? He says to Bodhi in common.
Hello.
Where are you from?
Chase us originally. It's been some time.
Do you represent Penford?
Not particularly. It seems a nice enough town.
Be true with it. We see the symbols upon your body. You do wear the conglomerate logo pretty broadly.
Yeah, I work for the conglomerate, but I'm
They
not of Bedford.
immediately kind of go into a talky position. Okay. We'll allow you through. And you see the shield kind of pull away and kind of go to the back of the guy. And he kind of walks towards the edge and just drops off onto the road. It's kind of like a meaty thunk. Good 20-foot drop, just lands on his feet. Chalk plume kind of floods out from him. And the dwarf that you're looking at is just covered in beautiful dwarvish armor. He walks over to you, to Rolling Rock, and offers his hand in a greeting.
I clasp it.
He nods his head and in Dwarvish says, "Our wording from the last representative of Penford that came through was ominous. to say the least. Speaking in Dwarvish again, obviously.
Blah blah blah. Pedford. Blah blah blah.
Pedford.
What happened, and what happened with our kin here?
These are not our kin. These are usurpers. The ones who serve this greedy beast deserve no quarter.
So you are not of Ancrag then? I heard that they had some sort of a worm with them.
Much information about this must be very strange to you. And in common, he switches. He says, I will take you to the shrine. There you can treat with us, rest. There's no path but the one you came down for you to return down. But it might serve as a respite from what I assume are the horrors you've seen out there.
That would be welcome. I feel we have much information we can exchange with the recent happenings in this area.
Well, we are hopeful that he turns and he starts heading down the path. The two snipers up top kind of have their rifles up on their shoulders and are kind of watching you as you move. Uther, you saw them moving, so you are well aware that even though they look like they're in a relaxed position, it's probably just a blink of an eye before they have you rescoped and are shooting you. But it's nice to see them relaxed. You head down the path.
Everybody deserves a break.
And as you make it to kind of this very distant point from where you started, you kind of come to a bend that kind of looks like it's going to enter in more into the cliff area, allowing you to kind of see the facade of the cliff rather than being against it. And what you see is that the path leads up to a massive stone cleft. It appears like the stone just burst out of the chalk, and it's in the shape of Angum's hammer. At the very bottom of the hammer is a small door, like kind of set inside of the haft of the hammer. But yeah, it's very ornate, very much beautifully done in the Dwarvish style. A pretty noticeable like place to be sure, and definitely one of extreme earth-shaping craftsmanship. But yeah, as you are led by this dwarven defender to the doors of the place, he leads you in, and it is very dark in this space. No lights kind of or anything besides the sunlight. It's kind of coming in from the early morning, relatively early morning, right? Hold on. No, it'd be kind of midday, so no light. Those of you with dark vision, very kind of easily kind of adjust and see that it's maybe a dozen or so pillars, long hall-like chamber, and maybe 5 or 6 dwarfs besides the one that led you inside.
If it's not a faux pas in the area, I'll light a torch as we enter.
Nobody seems to really care.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so it doesn't seem like it's a big issue. And
I like to see.
rolling rock with no fire is no problem for a dwarf.
It'd be very hard for us to
Do what
craft
we do.
and forge without fire.
The individual that approaches you at this point appears to be very much dressed in the priestly robes of a worshipper of the Dwersen. And the individual in question, quite studious looking too, and with a bit of soot underneath his nails. He looks to you, Rolling Rock, and to the others, and he says, "Welcome to Whitehammer."
Is there like a title for like a Dwarvish priest, or I assume it's not father?
Whatever you'd like. I mean, in all
Maybe
honesty.
it is.
Yeah, again,
Brother.
Thanks, Pop Pop.
not many people.
Well met, Papa.
My peep-up.
Beep, 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 paw.
Well met, Poppy.
My new pet.
Any
No, don't-
embarrassing name for a grandfather.
Don't call him Poppy.
Again, dwarvish
Uh,
religion isn't something we focus on too much detail wise or nuance wise. And as you are the first person to play a dwarvish cleric in a while, you have free reign like regarding the ins and outs of the specifics of the religion. So go ham. If you want to call him Padre, Father, whatever, or something different.
He shall be.
Ye shall be.
I'll go with the Dutch, since I am Dutch. We'll go with Paka, which essentially just means like grandfather in Dutch.
Okay.
Just kind of like as a term of respect for a leader of the people, a man of the cloth.
Mhm.
Well met, Paka. Are you the one who did these intricate carvings? I haven't seen such craftsmanship in many years.
Oh no. My predecessors were the ones who did that. Unfortunately, most of what we have remaining is but scraps left to us by others. What brings you here, servant of the conglomerate?
Why don't we talking to me?
He says that to you.
What? Kind of shake my little servant. No, more like a volunteer, I suppose.
I don't see why you are taking it as some sort of insult.
Well, they didn't. I'm doing this more as a favor to the dwarf lords up in. What was that hold called? In my notes.
Nick says, why don't you just call it what it is, a tribute?
Amaroth.
Yeah, I'm doing it. It's more of a doing this more as a favor for the lords of Hamaroth to kind of curry their favor with my guild, but it's besides the point. Mostly just here to pay my respects to the Pantheon before we make for Ancrag to resupply. We're on the road towards the Montkonski Plains, and it's been a long road indeed.
Almost dismissively, he kind of turns and looks in towards the rest of your group. And what of you? Are you members of the conglomerate?
Sir,
Yeah.
Nods his head.
pretty loud, clear.
All got debts to pay.
Well met. Hopefully you are taking care of your brother here kindly.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's a good pebble. This one, you know. I don't know what you call him. I like him.
He says, "It's been a while since anyone from Penford came through, but the last individuals who were here were servants of the conglomerate. They were kindly enough and skillful as well."
When did they last pass through, Paka?
A number of years ago.
Ah. Would you recall what business they were attending to passing through this area? If I may pry.
I believe they were hopeful that they could bring about a stop to the matters that have been plaguing Penford for some time.
Are you speaking of the Riders of Ionis?
Yes. And if I said years, and I think I misspoke, basically, it should match up with the last group.
Okay.
He looks to Ezekiel at this point and says, "Well met, Kennelborn. You two are a servant of the conglomerate."
Yeah, I've been working for them for a little bit. More of like a
Very
that
good.
my place got burned down by the riders, so might as well help people out while I'm trying to take revenge.
It seems to be a number of individuals, not unlike yourself, who've made their way south from here to find solace at the town of checking my notes. At the town of checking my notes. He pulls out a piece of
Be a
paper,
good town.
very quickly kind of looks over it, focusing in on it.
I've heard good things.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
They're well read.
Where is it?
Oh man,
What's the name of the town?
is it one we've been to?
No, it's a new town.
Oh boy,
Who, again, I am trying to find my notes on and having.
take your time.
Thank you so much for that.
We're just shooting the shit with Paka.
Yeah.
County tchotchkes.
Oh, right. At the town of Flap Flap.
Flap,
Yep.
as in two flaps.
Correct.
Town
Yes.
in town
Good to know.
is Flap Paka.
Flap Flap is a town that is ruled over by goblins. And to my understanding, it is a moving town. But it often takes perch near here. And he will kind of explain where it's located. And if you look at the map, you'll see that this small boat has kind of appeared on the map.
Did you say takes perch?
It sometimes lands there.
Mm.
As you may be aware, goblins are quite fanciful in their artifice. The Flap Flap tribe are capable of moving rock across the sky with ease. Their town goes where they wish it to, but sometimes they land here. And I know a number of Kennelborn have passed by this space after being removed from their home in Boar Hill and were sent through here not too long ago.
That's quite the convenient defense.
What, flying?
To be under siege and just leave the entire city.
I'm telling you,
Bye.
goblins are thorough wonder.
Quite wise.
And maybe we can get Penford hooked up with this kind of deal.
No, we're kidding. We're under attack. No, we're not.
It's not a massive. It's not a massive
Fuck
town.
this coast.
It's not a massive
Still.
town.
Bad guys. Let's leave.
Deuces.
Bullshit every other week.
Oh man, it looks like they're coming at us. Not
Rerouter
anymore.
mail.
To the skies. Let's fucking
Gotta
get
change
out
your
here.
address every once in a while.
Address stays the same. The zip code changes.
Is there anything more you can tell us about the previous group from Penford?
Of
Do you know
course.
ultimately where they went or what happened to them?
There was only 2 of them that stopped through here, though it seemed there was a number of them besides that who just didn't come this way. They didn't stay long, and they headed up north, I believe towards Ancrag's Cliffs.
See.
We didn't trail them too much further beyond that point.
Did they treat with you and your kin?
Very briefly, they told us a bit about what was happening in Penford and what they were aiming to do. We told them that the best way to get from here to where they were headed was to move in the underneath. They decided that Ancrag would be the best means for doing so.
Where was it they were headed?
They were heading in towards the city to the south across the bay, the name of which eludes me.
It's fair.
It is a human city.
Out of character, I'm trying to see if he knows about Bridger or anything like that.
He says it is a human city up on a hill, which would be very much not the description of Bridger.
Gotcha.
It
Well, you said south anyway, so that threw me.
Yeah, it seems like he is talking about something very different, which is a bit of a strange thing too, because you were under the assumption that the last group was under the same quest advisement as you were. Like they were trying to do the same thing.
Which was the last group?
Zach, would you like to tell your group about the last group?
It would if I had notes.
So not
ready.
the worm guy, right?
Not the worm guy.
Okay, there's another
No.
group before us that left. Got it.
Yeah, if you
Uh,
remember, Zach had kind of like when the guy was mentioned was like this is I mentioned that this wasn't one of the ones from the last time as a notation.
While we're talking, are there any cups around?
Cups?
Yeah,
Yeah, plenty. Mugs,
they look like
stoneware
drinking
mugs.
people?
The priest will say to Rolling Rock once every kind of pleasantry with the conglomerate talk is done. He says, "You and yours are welcome to drink here. You're welcome to rest here. We don't offer much in the ways of personal privacy, but you can sleep within these halls at your leisure."
Thank you, Pock. I would
Got
would let us raise a cup to our meeting. No,
I
I will.
think I have the 4. But yes, raising a cup.
You would see that there's like a massive kind of stoneware bowl, kind of like it's almost like a bird feeder, filled with a dark liquid, and he kind of runs the cup through it. You can see like a frothiness that kind of streams across the top.
That looks delicious.
I play an appropriate song for this occasion
It's
on my lute.
and it seems that it's taken to well enough. Actually, make a performance check to see how much they like it.
The first performance check of the campaign.
Absolutely.
Oh fudge, 11.
Okay.
You can have my inspiration.
Oh, you're the best. 22. I love the way you used it on that.
No, it's-
Yeah, we gotta impress these guys.
Yeah,
oh,
baby.
yeah.
They've been fine hosts. It's
We
not fair
haven't
for
met
you to
many
fuck it up.
dwarves. Backhanded. John, so I'm sure I have the right is Jirak?
Jirak.
Jirak?
Alyona, Luden, and Krog.
Krug. Got him.
I can already tell
Oh.
it's a huge problem with their group. Ain't no R names in that group.
I got R's in them.
And
Yeah, but ain't no starting R's like me and Roland are too.
the priest would tell you after kind of like he didn't deal with he dealt with 2 of them, and he would tell you that the 2 that he dealt with there was a dwarf and a human,
Got it. Aliona and Luden
more than likely.
in reverse order. And you say they traveled north
We
towards Ancrag?
we advised them that the best means of making it to the southern island or the southern peninsula from here would be through the underneath, a portion of the Foul Deep that goes under the bay. And they asked what the best means of getting there would be. We advised a shrine near to here, but they asked for other options. We advised Ancrag probably still has connection to the Foul Deep. And that's where they went.
Jot that down.
I will tell you, they were a group that was well liked amongst our number. The dwarf especially was quick with a tale, had a hearty laughter, and was liked by most of the staff here at the shrine.
Big shoes, Rolling Rock.
Got liquor, boys.
I personally had some issue with him, though. A number of the stories he said were from the dwarves, and specifically seemed to be fancifully made up and were wrong. But again,
Dwerson is like the dwarf Bible, I assume.
Yeah, Dwerson's the dwarf Bible. I wasn't going to challenge him regarding it, as they were just guests.
Well, Paka, if we're staying here for some time, and I kind of thud down my crucible. If you're interested in stonework, I'd love to tell you the tale of how I came into this beauty.
Amaroth is... He kind of looks at her, quite skillful in its production. If you are one who claims that you come from there. This is not exactly dwarvish, though.
Ah, keen eye. Yes. I did have assistance from one of the Giantkin. You see, it was a stone giant. I don't know if you ever heard of the Dreamwalkers. The stone giants who leave the earth to wander the world above.
I have not heard of them. Unfortunately, most of my knowledge is regulated to here, and the only giants we have any dealings with are unfortunately ignorant bastards who storm down the cliffways and try and make their way here through rappelling or other methods. It's been a while since we've dealt with any of the hill giants, the brave
Some
ones.
offense taken.
No ogres.
It's talking about hill. No, ogres. Ogres are a bit wiser in their ideas.
Where might they be found with
Oh.
their toes?
Oh, interesting question. I
Yeah.
know that ogres are pretty common in the McClonsky Plains. At least they were a decade ago. Sorry, it has been a while since I've fared out too far from the shrine.
Oh no, just passing curiosity. We call it a hobby.
A strange hobby, to be sure.
I don't judge you, man.
I'm not judging you. I'm just saying it is
Alright.
quite strange.
All right.
Don't yuck his yum.
More than fair.
The man on a quest for toes. Are we all?
Hell yeah, I suck toes.
Thanks
Uh,
for talking.
Goddamn Paka.
So sorry.
I know.
Talking, you Nancy.
How could you?
Write that down.
Write that down too.
Pakas suck toes.
But yeah, back to the point. Were there any other questions for him, or was I supposed to be saying something?
No, I just didn't want to get into a long-winded story about.
He was telling you about the crucible. You guys
Yeah,
were
like
having a
Rolling
fun
Rock
little
Roll.
back and forth.
Sorry.
And I think he's invited us to stay for a time.
Perfect. So, he will say this is a very interesting product, and I genuinely enjoyed the idea of giants being on amicable terms with dwarves. This is a absolute feat of not only artifice, but also in just common courtesy. It's a testament of the power of the dwarves.
Indeed. I'd always heard growing up that these stone giants were very xenophobic and would rather kill and eat the dwarfkin than treat with us. But these dreamwalkers, they seem to be of a different breed than the kin that stay under the mountain, or the stone giants that stay in the earth. Definitely something to think about.
He nods his head and says, "The dwarf of interest that came before you, you said his name was Luden. That does ring a bell. He and his friend were very interested in this token." He says as he's kind of walking over to the altar, and he kind of picks up a stoneware kind of disc that has the hammer of Angum kind of presented upon it.
Talking
Sure.
got a fetish.
Dime a dozen.
As he kind of turns it over to face you, you do realize it is a fetish. And he says, "Do you know why they were interested in this? They almost seemed to the point where they were willing to steal it, but they did not make any such bold moves."
To be honest with you, Paka, there are those amongst us that are capable of making use of such a thing.
It is-
Those of us that dance the Dance Eternal are able to more or less overcome death and be born again, are able to bind with these such things.
Much the way you would a magical weapon.
The conglomerate is a strange magic. New and awkward. I suppose this is not too different from someone being brought back from the dead by the divine. white winds, but a stranger matter to be sure, as you describe it. He nods his head.
Can't say I know enough to compare.
Ludin brought forward what I would consider heretical terms regarding the dwarves, and he was well liked amongst our number, but I personally saw something in him that was a bit distasteful. He looks to Rolling Rock and looks down to the Crucible. In you, I see that there's promise in the future. Do you wish to have this thing?
It would be an honor to carry it, Paka. To have a piece of the Dwerson with me on this journey
He hands it
would
over.
give me comfort and strength.
He hands it over and he says, then use it. I am hopeful that it will bring you some means of helping you along your way. Are you also headed to the underneath?
No, our final destination is the town of Bridger.
Bridger, you say? That should not be a hard travel from here. If you follow the cliff facing that lies below Ancrag, all the way to the coast, there is a passing that'll allow you to get over the northern Ramoon, and once across it, make your way north. There's a shrine there that has an access point to the old gnomish city beneath that lies within the underneath. But if you continue north from that shrine and onwards, you should be able to find a means of crossing the partition between the Ramoon rivers and make your way across to the Makonchki Plains. I would say once there, it should be easy enough to get there.
Thank you for the guidance, Paka. Our road has been hard, but it's good to know that we may have some easier days ahead.
It's also possible that you could go to Flap Flap, and if they are there at their point, they may be willing to take you to their next landing point, which is closer to the mountain known as Anvilvolt, another dwarvish, well, not all dwarvish, but a dwarvish place to be sure. And he will take the time to kind of, with you and your map, kind of point out these locations that he's been mentioning. I'm going to put a couple of notators on here real quick, just so you have them. He tells you that the crossing is there. And then he tells you about Anvilvote, which is... Hold on. Did I already pull it out?
What?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. So, if you look at the map kind of up to the top left there, there's like a mountain kind of out on its own. It's like a weird...
Just northeast of Ionis.
yeah.
Okay.
That, he says, is Anvilvote. And he says that the Flap Flap tribe lands near to there. He's not sure exactly where. And then he'll also mention that the crossing that I kind of put on the map there, it's a relatively easy crossing. There's no fortifications or anything. It's just a bridge.
Pretty unattended bridge.
It is not it's not attended. No, it is an ancient old bridge. It was crafted by a joint alliance of the Deep Dwarfs, the Dwarfs, and the Goblins.
Huh.
The bridge's purpose was to serve as a trading mechanism. The Flap Flap were only able to land their town near to here. They've been flying that thing around for near to, well, 200-300 years. But they did like trading with the gnomes before they became more isolated and less available for trade.
Is
Yeah.
it the same rock that they've been flying?
Yeah, for 300 years.
Golly.
It-
Okay, that's all.
It's well, if you go there and you see it, you'll understand.
Got the mileage on it.
Kick the tires. I don't wish to overstep my bounds, but I am comfortable with saying I believe the conglomerate would be very grateful for your assistance in this, especially in returning this fetish, as we call it.
Ah, that reminds me. The other two, there's a small point just down the narrow. If you step outside and head out, there's a very narrow cliff road that terminates with a grave. They were very focused on that, and the other two that they had that didn't enter into the shrine proper lingered there for most of their time here. I do not know why, but it was important to them, so I thought I would bring it to your attention.
Much appreciated.
I can assume a handful of things, but I'll look into it if I may.
Of course. If you do go out, you'll see that there is a kind of path that winds to like a small little balcony of stone.
Yeah, I'll excuse myself and head that way if they're still chatting.
Yeah, and as you're kind
I'll
of
go with
making
you.
this path, Rolling Rock, you look in your bag and note that the lodestar has activated to note that there is a soul well within your vicinity. And as you continue the approach, you do see that there is a single, like, kind of marker. It appears to be a very large hammer. It's kind of just been settled in the ground, head down, but it's all made out of stone. And then there's a flat stone slab, and kind of sitting on top of / in that slab is a soul well. Not a large and powerful one, but kind of a very minuscule, like a
It'll do the job.
It'll do the job for certain.
Would that sort of indicate that it's not a place of many deaths, but important deaths, or
Correct.
neat?
Does the fetish reveal itself just by proximity to a soul well, or do
You
we
have to
like...
spend a long rest with it.
Okay.
It becomes you know what it does either by short resting at a soul well or long resting at a soul well.
I'll get started on that if you want to look into who this gravesite was for.
Sure, I'll get a handout for you here in a second. I had it in my notes, but I didn't transfer.
Is
it over.
everybody else okay with doing a long rest?
Yeah, they invited us
Sure.
to stay anyway. We might as well pick them up on the
Hey.
hospitality.
Sure. This is the first named fetish that you've found, so it's not
Ooh.
it doesn't have like an indicator that's non-named. So like the defender is just defender. It's not an actual person because the soul essence that's kind of tied to it is more ancient. This one is relatively fresher in its essence acquisition, so it has like a nature to it, which I'll kind of describe as being like if you imbue it, it will kind of have like a almost priestly like aspect to it. That said, when it is tied to you, it gives you one use of the Channel Divinity class feature, and it allows you to use the Channel Divinity Turn Undead or the Forge Domains Turn or Channel Divinity.
Our fetish is made out of us.
Fetishes are made out
Think
of
about it.
people, yeah. So
Okay.
it's an item of importance that has been imbued with the essence of a dead person. And so when you use that, you're not actually tying yourself to the item. You're tying yourself to the essence. Your soul gains the aspect of that essence.
Ew.
I'll think about it, user.
You can think about it for too long. It's
Pretty unappealing.
Fetish, essence, yeah, it sounds a little too sexual for me.
You'll be a fetish before you know it.
So yeah, the Channel Divinity that it grants you would be Artisan's
Sign me up.
Blessing.
Is that the one that
Artisan.
like makes something +1?
You conduct an hour-long ritual that crafts a non-magical item that must include some metal, a simple or martial weapon, a suit of armor, 10 pieces of ammunition, a set of tools, or another metal object. The creation is completed at the end of the hour, coalescing in an unoccupied space of your choice on a surface within 5 feet of you. The thing you create can be something that is worth no more than 100 gold. As part of the ritual, you must lay out metal, which can include coins, with a value equal to the creation. The metal irretrievably coalesces and transforms into the creation at the ritual's end, magically forming even non-metal parts of the creation. The ritual can create a duplicate of a non-magical item that contains metal, such as a key, if you possess the original during the ritual.
Okay, I remember this. This is
So if you can
Yeah.
find one conglomerate key, you'll have two.
and you said it has like
It's
a
that or turn undead.
Yeah, so it gives you one use of Channel Divinity. If you already have Channel Divinity, it gives you an additional use.
Gotcha.
And you can now use that extra Channel Divinity if you already have it. But if you don't have it, you can use Channel Divinity once, and you can also use Turn Undead or this. And I would say that if you do imbue with it, the essence it gives you is kind of like a more, it's like a personality trait that's added on. I just haven't worked out the wording, but it gives you a bit more of like a priestly kind of essence. Like you're a bit more serious.
Sounds like Rolling Rock.
what? Rolling Rock doesn't want to be serious. He's a happy guy, a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I mean,
Aren't we all?
And the name of it is Saint Ashbraid.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that guy. Or gal.
and I'll attune to it if no one else is interested in it, because yeah, just being able to like make something out of metal, it's always really useful.
Yeah, go nuts, man.
You already have a fetish? Didn't we give him Defender, or did we move that around?
I have
already?
Defender.
Reaver
Yeah.
And
is
Silas,
on
Silas has the dual weapon.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is.
And no one has. Who has Defender?
I do. It gives me a +1, makes me 20 AC.
Who has Protector?
Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody has Protector. We decided against it because me having a higher armor class and being harder to hit is better than.
You're the only one that uses a shield, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd also note that the monument that's going to be placed here is to Saint Velusk Ashbraid.
Oh, as a fellow crafter, I'll pay my respects. And yeah, if we're gonna spend time here, then I guess I'll equip the fetish.
Okay. And again, you're not in any kind of strange company at this point, so if you do want to put forward any phone calls to anyone, you
Yeah,
can.
I'll reach out to Decalis.
Okay.
It's not like we could. Do we have other people we know to call?
No, it's just him.
Wrong number.
Yes. How goes the effort?
Well, we're not far off of Eggcrag. Our travel has been somewhat roundabout, but we're pressing forward. I did gather information from the Paka of the the dwarves.
What's the name of the shrine that you're at? There are a number of.
Ashbraid.
It's like
Saint-
Whitehammer or something.
Whitehammer. He nods his head. Of course.
There was a lot of dwarvish.
There were reports that the group that preceded you went there.
Yes, that's why I wanted to reach out. They were confirmed to have come here. I believe the people here encouraged them to go to the Underdark. The Deep Dark?
The Foul Deep.
Foul Deep? But they did not follow them closely.
And
And there was only 2 of them.
well, there were 4, just 2.
There were all
women.
4 were there. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
the 2 that treated with them.
Mhm. He says
They did not trust Luden, the dwarf priest.
that makes sense. He wasn't a true priest. He stole his powers from the divinities.
That's gonna make you a lot of friends.
No, not terribly much. It's my understanding that they had come to meet and treat with an individual who had been sent out by the conglomerate prior to me taking into this space, and unfortunately, I understand, they changed course and goal. I lost contact with them maybe a few months before we had decided to unleash you into Levidia.
The guy you're talking about, the guy that has the ability to when he cuts a limb off worms, put it back together.
Oh yeah, we did meet that guy. I was gonna talk about that guy.
Do you say that
I
in
thought we were
character?
keeping it a secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. He says, I'm sorry, you've met Estmund?
Yeah. The last solo we were at, he was waiting on somebody.
Interesting. I will have to do some research regarding that matter. And you said that he was in and about the area that you are in, near there.
He was at the monastery south of Whitestone.
Thank you, Cody. This is important information. Esmond cannot be
Shaking my
trusted.
head.
Esmond cannot be trusted.
Shaking my head. He cannot.
He is a servant of the old conglomerate. It is true, according to reports, that he was able to stop other elements of the old conglomerate, but it is our understanding he is a rogue element who wishes to bring down the conglomerate, even in its new form. If he can be met with again, please make sure that I am informed as quickly as possible so that I can locate him directly and hopefully reach out to him and contact him directly. It is very important, too, that if you do engage with him, you are advised to avoid direct conflict and try and escape him. I'm glad
Are
to
you mad at us?
I'm not. I am glad
Okay.
to hear that he did not get a hold of the Lodestar.
Just disappointed.
I'm glad to hear he did not get a hold of the Lodestar. That could have been a very large problem. Does he know about the Lodestar?
Yes, we had to reform Bodhi's body there.
In his presence?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he did kind of watch the whole time.
He did not assail you.
No, he was just relaxed.
Seemed like a really nice guy.
Seemed pretty interested in what was
He
going
was very
on.
cordial while we were there.
This changes my idea on him. According to what information I was able to pull from old conglomerate records, it seems that Esmond was hell-bent on the destruction of any other operators. And if he did not assail you after seeing the power of the Lodestar, then perhaps I have judged him too rashly from the initiate.
He did tell us about how he got rid of his other teammates. But...
In detail.
Maybe we changed his mind.
he said he just tore them to pieces and then threw their pieces as far apart as possible so they couldn't reform fast.
Very, very smart individual. That would be the only way to deal with them. Based on their records. This is absolutely fine. I will try to locate Esmond, this rogue element. I will also inform you to be aware that those that preceded you, Bodhi, if that information has been disseminated to the group, good. Be aware that they will also be a potentially hostile situation. If they had spoken to Estmund, and I can't say for certain that that was the case, if one of the others, I only know that they spoke to a member of that original group. but Esmond's the only one to be confirmed to survive, so it is most likely him who caused them to go a different route.
Should we be changing our primary motives here to find these individuals of the former group? Or do we continue on towards Bridger?
It can be said that they are a problem, and acquiring their Lodestar might be beneficial, though it is not quite as capable as the one you have amongst you. It takes them quite a bit longer to reform after a situation or setback. They are not a priority, more or less a hazard to be informed about. You need to be aware that they, if they find you, will probably seek to acquire your Lodestar.
We'll keep our distance.
If you can defeat them outright, then so much the better. I just know that they have, at least from your primers and your initiations and your training prior to joining with us, they greatly outperform you and yours. But if you feel up to the task, I will not advise you to not conflict with them. But I will state that if they are seeking you, it might be best to avoid them. And regarding Esmond, I would, for now, advise caution. I will do some research. I will see if I can't see him through distant eyes. And if I'm able to get more information regarding him, I will do my best to get a sending message to you and yours.
Very well. Anything else we should be aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. If you are close to Whitehammer, I do know that the Flap Flap tribe of goblins has landed recently there. They could be beneficial. They are very well aligned with the conglomerate. If you do speak...
Perhaps if nothing more, we'll speak to them regarding the last known whereabouts of the prior group.
If you do speak with them, Nuhu, the shaman of the Flap Flap, would be a good person to speak with. Tell Nuhu that she is in the presence of the Mistakes band of loyal servants, and she should treat with you.
Out of character, do I know what that's supposed to mean?
You would
Who's
know
the mistake?
You would know that the name Dekellis from... You have Arcana trained?
No, nobody does.
Then you have no idea what the mistake is a reference to, you know.
You.
It's...
I mean, I would Jack of all trades. Right?
Oh, yeah, fair enough. If you have Jack of all trades, you would know that the mistake... the name Dekellis actually means the mistake in kind of older Janaran tongue. It means basically an unwanted kid.
Okay. I would say so.
So that appears to be him talking about himself.
Oh,
But be nice to yourself.
it's a mean thing to name a kid.
Well, if you think about it, like, you know, unwanted children have had names that kind of indicate them as such throughout history, or at least in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, good save. So the mistake and the mistakes. What was our
Band of
message to
loyal
Nupu?
servants.
The mistakes band of loyal servants
Just
would
basically-
like to treat with you.
Yeah, just tell them that she's in the presence of that,
Got it.
and she will want to treat with you.
Nope.
And that's the goblin leader?
That's
Nuhu is the
the-
leader of the Flap Flap tribe. The shaman, rather.
Shaman.
Oh man, she's well, probably if they have a flying machine, it's probably like shaman in quotation. She's probably like a super scientist or something.
I think it's a machine. It might be a machine. Anyways. Am I missing anything, guys?
Out of character, did we already tell him about the dragon?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
And the
That's
king
when we found out why
Manicore.
the dragon's a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
And what else?
The boat pirates.
Yeah, we gotta tell him about
I
that.
wasn't here for that. You guys tell him that.
Yeah, there was also we saw off in the distance in the waters pirates attacking a boat with Pinford's flag, or what we assume were pirates. It was really too far away for us to even see like a good description of the flag, but it looked very similar to a pirate's flag.
That's the Gwenhale craft. Is there any way for you to traverse water at this point?
No, not yet, sadly.
Unfortunate. If there was a way, I would ask for you to try and seek out Lady Gwenhale's craft, but if it is under siege, it is probably too late. I will do my best to see if I can't research that as well. I'll give you an update next we speak. He nods on the other side of the phone. But you can see his kind of ghostly figure.
We
obviously.
would tell them those black sails with 2 white crosses of some sort.
Yes, I am aware of that marker. It is the Bandit Lord.
And it was several hours ago.
It is undoubtedly the case that they have already been put to the sword, or ransom messages.
Maybe they won.
Or ransom messages have been sent out to Penford.
The only other things I can think of to tell about is the lighthouse that isn't working near the monastery where we met Estford at, and
That is super important.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Hold, you mean to say the Cape Nails lighthouse?
Yeah,
that's
these are the
the name of
ones.
it, yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit down from Hound Hill.
That is probably why they were off course and in the Pirate Lord's lair.
There's also a manicore called the King Manicore that's nested around there as well.
Ah, yes. Whitestone. I would avoid it. That Manticore has
We
reigned there.
did.
That Manticore has reigned there for some time. He is not terribly kind to outsiders, so there's no fear of him falling in league with any of these problem elements that have been rising up. In fact, if we could just gather up the problem elements and take them to Whitestone, it would probably suffice.
On it.
A hard ask, but I mean, if you can make it happen, so much the better. Regarding the lighthouse of Cape Nail, I need to change your objective. It is very important that you get to the lighthouse and reactivate its torch. I wish that I had known about this when you were closer.
Yeah.
Us too. All those jokes we
Womp.
made.
He says, "You
I'm
didn't,
not a good leader. I should be the one on the call.
but you said you reformed at that old monastery near there. You didn't reach out to me then. That's fine. I understand you were in the company of outside elements. That's
I didn't want you to see Estvend and him to see you. I didn't want it to be a thing.
Again, it might have gone differently had you made any other choices. I cannot reproach you for how it went because it seems to have gone well enough. He did not assail you. He did not steal the lodestar. He did not do anything untoward so far as to say. However, that lighthouse being out is a very large problem. And I do need that to be objective one for the time being. Since you're only about a day or day and a half out from it, I will need you to redirect your path and head that way.
We're on it.
The Mage of the Lighthouse is a older member of the Conglomerate Loyalist, but should be, at least if he's still alive, and not coerced, an individual who may be able to provide you with a quicker means of getting across the area. Amadon is an older gentleman, but he has the capability of performing a spell known as Teleportation Circle. There is not such a landing point in Bridger, but there is an old one in the town of Swordbreak. You may be able to get to the other side of Bridger and work from there. That would take you close to Renard's Run, which might be good for you, Ezekiel, to see how things have changed on that end of the world. This would give you a direct access to Ionis as well. If you do speak to Amadon, he will know me by name. If you feel the need to drop my name to treat with him. But if the light is out, it is highly unlikely that he is well. I will try and reach out to him. I unfortunately cannot do so now as I'm not prepared to cast that spell, but I will do so first thing tomorrow morning. If before you leave Whitehammer, you are able to reach out to me again, then I will tell you what I was able to glean from my attempt to message him.
I'll contact you at dawn before we leave.
Anything else for Tekels at that point?
That's it.
Okay. You cycle through. It gets to the morning time.
You sure you're not mad?
Not mad. He seems totally cool.
Guys, I gotta tell you, he did not want to put me in the field.
He says when you contact him during the kind of like moment after your long rest, you kind of keep the soul well up for a little bit longer, and then when you speak to him, he says, "I tried to cast sending to reach out to Amadon. He was unable to respond, which means he is either dead, unconscious, or not on this plane." Wait, no, sorry. Sending works through planes, I think, so he should be fine on that one. So he's dead or unconscious. Let me double check.
Isn't it like a 20 or 5% chance to
Oh,
fail
yeah,
if it's
yeah.
on another plane?
He says he might be on another plane. It might have fizzled because of it. The message did not get to the intended sender. And that would be, again, they have to be conscious to receive the message, and they have to be alive to receive the message.
Maybe he's just sleeping.
So there is a small chance that he's on another plane, but probably not the case.
Well,
The objective remains the same. I need that lighthouse lit.
we're
Is it-
on it.
Is it lit by like? Because he's a mage. Is it like lit through magic, or can we just like?
The torch is
So-
powered by artifice. It is a spell that magnifies a cantrip that's cast through an item called a Cyric stone.
Are we gonna like? Do we have someone who's gonna be
Am
able
I
to like, do
capable
that?
of lighting this?
I mean, I'm a
Torch.
magic user.
A Cyric
know me.
user can be attuned to by anybody who can cast the spell Light. And it also allows for an additional attunement once it's done. But you're not attuning to the item, you're attuning it
Can
to the...
cast light or has the ability to like pick up the spell light.
If it's in your spell list, it's something that you could learn, then yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay,
Okay.
then we're
No, that would-
okay.
That would be me.
Sorcerer, wizard,
That would be
bard,
cleric.
All of us.
All of
us.
everyone. Silas
That
can't,
is an important question, and I appreciate you
Honestly,
asking.
maybe me.
Silas can't light. Oh no, rangers don't get cantrips.
Okay, then no.
Yeah, if you were a druid, yeah, but Silas can cast sword and
Iron.
iron.
Cast iron.
Cast iron. I love that fucking spell. But yeah, if that's the case, looks like we're kind of winding it down. I don't think I can do much with 10 remaining. I don't think I can do much with 15 remaining. But I do want to do some
Filibuster.
well, not filibuster, more kind of
Oh.
just leading up to the point, because we are heading back to the lighthouse, right? Confirmed?
Yeah.
Seemed
And how?
seemed
Okay.
important.
One,
We
two,
all thought it
three,
was
four,
important, but we
5.
forgot.
It's okay. Well, good.
We all thought it was somebody else's job.
We were talking about how fucking irresponsible it is.
Yeah, well, it definitely seems to have put the boat that got assailed off course, according to Tekelis' notion. He said it put them in the pirate lord's lair, were the words that he used specifically. But if you 5 beat it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back towards the monastery, that would be the next day's worth of travel. There are a couple of hot points there. I just need to see your pathing.
I think right back the way we came.
Yeah, it seemed pretty safe the first time.
Okay, so for the first 5 there, that's good. So this will be the end point where you stop and rest. I need, based on that, I need 1, 2.
Knowing we can make it without the 5, there's no need to press on, and we already know where that cave is where we can camp and hit it in the same amount the same amount of days.
You'll be exhausted, but it'll 1, 2, 3, 4. I see what you're saying. Okay, so different avenue. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 4 rolls of 20-sided dice.
I do
I'll
want
do one.
13 for one.
Cool.
2.
17.
Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3. This one might be activated.
Shit.
Way to go,
I
Andy.
think isn't low good?
Low is good. I'm the
Oh,
one that
yeah.
rolled the 17.
Way to go,
It's
Andy.
Bodhi. It's Bodhi.
My bad.
Yeah, it's not your fault, buddy. Okay.
Someone else rolled
Sorry,
a fourth
sorry.
one,
No.
but here we go.
No, you're lucky. It's so there are. If you go back and watch the thing, you'll see that there are some spaces that have larger bad symbols and some that have smaller bad symbols. The smaller bad symbols typically have either a 17 through 20 or 18 through 20, and the larger symbols have a much lower threshold of like 13, 15, and so on. But you managed to, for lack of a better term, fuck up on the smaller one, and I wasn't sure
Nice.
if it was a 17 or an 18.
Sounds like us.
One more.
Jody,
On it.
Steve, or
Got
Jeremy?
it.
Jody.
11.
Jeremy already did it. Okay, cool.
Middle
So
of the road.
you make it back to the secret lair. It is still unoccupied. And if you just kind of stay inside of that first kind of area where it's nice and cooly and not
Has it been a week?
it's been 1 day.
Okay.
Um,
We got to get the fuck out of here.
Go fuck with that shark.
obviously you take your
Oh
watches.
shit! We should have asked our boss about that guy.
Due to,
Ah, damn it.
due to the nature of the secret lair, there is there is no soul well present here, so you can't communicate tonight. But you'd be able to rest fully and then kind of make your way out the next morning. Do you wish to move to the monastery and then to the lighthouse, or do you wish to move try out and around? As I mentioned, the path for the cliffing kind of stays kind of coastal. So
This is fine, but just for clarity's sake, this is not the cave I meant. I wanted the one where we cast a tiny hut, where it was an easy walk and well hidden.
Oh yeah, that would only be 3 hexes, not 5.
Yeah, I know. I said it wouldn't be a rush and we'd be fine at the end of the travel. But this is cool. We're here.
I don't
I
remember
miss-
that place at all.
I misinterpreted.
You weren't here for it.
Oh.
It was actually a cave. I thought he'd just create the hut in the shape of a cave because he's a bug boy.
No, we
No,
found the cave and he filled the space.
A hut cave with a real cave with a hut cave.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
so okay, real quick. I just want to
No,
confirm.
it's cool. We're in the secret lair. We
Okay,
made
because
it.
there's no chance of you being randomly assaulted in the secret lair, so it actually proves to be better that way. And then during the next day, you'll be traveling past the monastery space and then into the lighthouse space. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta get to that lighthouse.
So you'll be arriving at the lighthouse in kind of a nice early day, but at this point, Cape Nail, which is this kind of small little area, it's blustery, very heavy winds, much heavier than when you were on the coast before, and also there's quite a bit of storm clouds kind of gathering off the coast. Every so often the gray kind of deposits a bit of a downpour as you're making your way between the monastery's kind of mountaintop or hilltop location. You're not up there, you're just moving past the hill that kind of winds along the cliff over toward the lighthouse. But it's blustery, decent amount of downpour, and you would come to the lighthouse kind of mid-morning, almost noon, and you would see that there is the lighthouse proper, and there's a house kind of not too far from it. The house appears to be in shambles. An absolute, just devastating fire appears to have taken place, and nothing more than the bones of that house remain.
Is Shambles okay?
No, he burned to death. He's gone.
There's a whole house.
And then he
inside.
respawned
there's
back in
always another one.
Munis.
That guy's red. You think a fucking house fire's gonna take him?
Hell yeah. But yeah, the bones of that house just remaining. It's just broken, absolutely devastated by
Fire
a
to
fire.
death.
The rain kind of, pouring through here now at this point. It's a bit harsher. It's almost like needles kind of flaring down at you. But there's a decent enough kind of, it's not like damaging or anything. It's just really annoying. and the lighthouse light, which should be on in this weather, is not on. And you start to make your way towards the lighthouse door to enter into it, and that is where we will leave off for next session. The exploration of the lighthouse will be the entirety of that. Thanks for watching those that did, and we will see you next week.